Imagine building a hidden 5-star luxury resort deep inside a haunted forest just to gaslight your teenage daughter into staying home forever. That is literally Dracula's toxic master plan, and it is about to backfire in the most chaotic way imaginable. Welcome to Hotel Transylvania, where the king of vampires is about to get totally cooked by an uninvited guest. Drac gives off total main character energy as a single father, obsessed with keeping his little girl happy. Behind all the goofy baby talk lies deep trauma, because Dracula lost his wife to cruel human mobs. He promises Mavis that he will protect her from humans no matter what it takes. As Mavis grows up, Dracula teaches her how to fly around in bat form, hyping her up like a loving girl dad. To keep her safe forever, Dracula hires zombie workers to build a massive, impenetrable sanctuary. The massive resort is hidden behind 400 acres of haunted woods to keep humans far away. He surrounds the entire perimeter with the land of the undead so no mortal would ever dare trespass. The lead contractor warns Drac that open fire is the only thing that could ever expose this hidden location. By 1898, Hotel Transylvania is officially open for business as a total safe haven for monsters worldwide. Fast forward to present day, and Dracula is micromanaging every detail for Mavis's 118th birthday extravaganza. A suit of armor frantically alerts Dracula to a massive plumbing emergency up in the guest rooms. It turns out Bigfoot clogged room 348 again, but Drac handles the gross situation like a true boss. Famous monsters from across the world start checking in, thrilled to escape the dangerous human world. Wayne the werewolf arrives with his chaotic wolf pack, followed by Frankenstein's monster who literally mailed himself. Frank admits he avoids flying on commercial planes because he is low-key terrified of engine fires. Griffin, the invisible man, sneaks into the lobby and starts trolling Dracula by pinching him out of nowhere. Griffin hands Dracula a random strip of bacon, triggering Wayne's hyperactive pups to attack Drac. Murray the mummy dramatic rolls into the front lobby, dumping tons of desert sand all over the clean floor. Murray boasts about his epic shortcut through the Nile while casually blaming the zombie staff for the mess. Once all his famous homies are gathered, Dracula gathers them for an intense anti-human security briefing. Drac pulls up wild propaganda slides, claiming modern humans wear tight clothes specifically to strangle monsters. The guest monsters eat up every single word, completely convinced that humans are ruthless bloodthirsty freaks. Upstairs, Mavis is getting ready, hyping herself up to finally step out into the real world as an adult. She reminds her father that 30 years ago, over a plate of raw mice, he gave his sacred vampire word. Dracula waltzes into her bedroom carrying breakfast, desperately trying to distract her with childish activities. He offers to take her scorpion hunting, hoping she will forget all about her wild travel dreams. Mavis shuts him down instantly, lecturing him on how a Dracula's word is sacred and unbreakable. She pulls out her packed suitcases, ready to zoom off to Hawaii, the magical paradise her parents talked about. Drac tries to play tough, but when Mavis hits him with the ultimate pouty bat face, his resolve crumbles. He cuts a compromise, allowing her to visit a small human village located just past the nearby cemetery. When Mavis breaks the news to the hotel guests, Aunt Eunice and the crew completely lose their minds. The monsters scream out terrifying advice, warning her about pitchforks, fire, and humans scooping her brains out. Ignoring their frantic warnings, Mavis turns into a cute bat and happily flies out toward the target village. She lands in the gloomy town square, only to be immediately surrounded by angry villagers carrying torches. The creepy crowd chants insane threats at her, screaming that they are going to burn her clothes and bite her toes. Mavis tries to stay positive and introduce herself, but the mob yells that they are taking all her candy. She tries to explain that she is just a friendly homeschooled girl, but they shove lethal garlic bread in her face. Suddenly, the wooden pitchforks catch fire, and the mob starts wildly flailing around in total chaos. Watching from the dark forest line, Dracula smirks in pure satisfaction because his evil plan worked. It turns out the whole village was fake, and the terrifying humans were just zombie hotel employees in cheap costumes. Drac aggressively directs his zombie staff to pack up the props before Mavis figures out the whole set was rigged. Mavis flies back to the hotel utterly devastated, falling completely for her father's engineered traumatization. She cries to Dracula about how hostile the humans were, utterly terrified by their pitchforks and garlic. Breathing a sigh of relief, Dracula holds her as she promises never to leave the safety of the hotel ever again. He tucks her in with worm cakes, reminding her that tonight they finally get to open her late mother's secret gift. Drac boasts to his shrunken door ornament, showing zero remorse for gaslighting his own daughter for her protection. Suddenly, a random teenager stumbles right through the hotel front doors, shocking Dracula to his core. The laid-back human backpacker introduces himself as Jonathan, explaining he was out hiking with his buddies. Jonathan casually chats about hearing rumors of an epic spooky forest and deciding to check it out. He admits he saw Dracula's zombie actors accidentally setting themselves on fire and followed them straight to the hotel. Dracula's jaw hits the floor in absolute horror as he realizes a real mortal has breached his unbreachable fortress. Jonathan is casually rambling about traveling alone while Count Dracula is having a full-blown internal panic attack. The clueless human thinks Dracula is just wearing top-tier cosplay for an ultimate monster-themed costume party. Out in the lobby, absolute chaos erupts when an angry guest complains that a piranha ate her family member. Dracula has to play high-stress customer service representative while low-key stashing a real human inside his closet. Johnny starts inspecting the creepy room, completely unaware that he is standing in a legendary vampire's secret lair. When Johnny's phone vibrates, Dracula assumes the shiny device is an evil weapon designed to read his mind. The ancient vampire panics the second music plays, convinced modern human technology is trying to steal his soul. Dracula screams that if the hotel guests discover a human inside the sanctuary, his entire legacy is cooked. Johnny does not catch the life-or-death suspense at all, hyping up Dracula's voice like he is an actor. Johnny casually offers to share a room with Mavis, having zero clue that she is the Prince of Darkness's daughter. Dracula realizes he cannot even eliminate Johnny because doing so would set monster-human relations back hundreds of years. Johnny gets super protective over his backpack because literally every single thing he owns on Earth is packed inside. Dracula takes matters into his own hands and violently starts restyling Johnny's hair to hide his human look. He slaps monster makeup onto Johnny, transforming the clueless backpacker into a terrifyingly hilarious zombie creation. They step into the hallway, only to be ambushed by the psychopathic hotel chef Quasimodo. Quasimodo's pet rat starts sniffing out a strange scent, threatening to blow Johnny's cover right on the spot. Dracula quickly cooks up a fake argument about dinner orders to distract the suspicious chef from sniffing Johnny. Johnny wanders right into a giant monster family, completely amazed by how hyper-realistic their skin textures look. In an insane move, Johnny reaches out to touch a female monster's face to check if it is fake. The massive monster husband goes feral, threatening to smash Johnny into dust for touching his wife. Suddenly, Mavis floats down from the balcony, looking totally miserable after her fake village experience. Mavis sighs that humans are utterly boring and hostile, completely unaware that a real human is standing right there. Suddenly, Johnny stumbles straight into Mavis, causing both of them to freeze in an unexpected twist. Johnny panics when he realizes Mavis is Dracula's daughter, instantly feeling the room drop in temperature. Realizing he is surrounded by actual blood-drinking ghouls, Johnny completely loses his chill and begs for his life. He starts screaming out his life dreams, desperate to escape before the terrifying creatures feast on him. Johnny frantically asks if Dracula is going to drain his blood right then and there. Dracula shuts down the myth instantly, informing him that human blood is wildly unhealthy and disgusting. The Dark Lord reveals he only drinks artificial blood substitutes, shattering Johnny's lifelong monster stereotypes. Johnny is stunned to learn that legendary vampires basically drink diet substitutes to stay alive. Johnny starts mocking Dracula's famous pop culture catchphrase right to the Vampire King's face. Dracula gets instantly triggered, swearing on his life that he has never uttered that dumb catchphrase. Dracula passionately breaks down why he built this legendary castle in the middle of nowhere. He explains that monsters needed a fortress away from human mobs, fire torches, and violent persecution. The hotel was created as a peaceful haven where creatures of the night could finally lower their guard. Johnny sums up the grand historic sanctuary into a casual three-word phrase that almost breaks Drac's brain. Dracula transforms into a bat and grabs Johnny, planning to throw him out of the castle immediately. Instead of being terrified, Johnny gets pure main character energy and begs for monster autographs. Johnny starts asking absurd science questions about invisible monster anatomy while hanging in midair. Mavis catches them midair, forcing Dracula to make up an emergency excuse on the fly. Johnny almost leaks the truth, but Dracula pinches his mouth shut to preserve the dangerous cover story. Dracula lies through his fangs, claiming Johnny was hired as a young party planner for her birthday. Mavis reveals she is turning 118, which sends Johnny into a brief silent stroke. To keep his fake monster identity believable, Johnny stammers that he is 121 years old. A suit of armor runs up with news of an emergency, putting Dracula's cover story to the ultimate test. Mavis offers to hang out with Johnny while Dracula works, sending the control-freak vampire into pure horror. The suspense ramps up as Mavis and Johnny low-key hit it off right under Dracula's protective nose. Dracula aggressively breaks up their interaction, desperate to get the human out of the building forever. He shoves Johnny into secret catacombs, seeking an underground exit far away from Mavis's eyes. Johnny starts quizzing the Count on ancient vampire weaknesses while navigating pitch-black tunnels. Dracula dryly points out that a wooden stake through the heart would literally kill anyone on Earth. They accidentally burst into a private room, walking straight into an uncomfortable monster honeymoon. Johnny gets excited realizing he is officially the first living human to explore the forbidden underground network. They burst into the main hall, catching Frankenstein, Wayne, Murray, and Griffin rehearsing their band act. The iconic Monster Squad is having an argument over zombie classical musicians hijacking their stage. Frank begs Dracula to sing with them, but Dracula shuts it down over dark memories of his late wife. The squad tries emotional blackmail, reminding him that Mavis deserves an unforgettable party memory. Dracula's temper snaps, scaring the entire band before he forces everyone to awkwardly hug out the tension. Mavis suddenly drops down from the ceiling behind Johnny, catching him completely off guard. Johnny tries to play it super smooth, complimenting her name while sweating bullets over his secret. When Mavis asks for his identity, Johnny almost blurted his human name before pivoting hard. He introduces himself as Johnny Stein, claiming to be Frankenstein's long-lost distant relative. Johnny whispers in horror, asking if the giant monsters hovering nearby are going to tear him apart. When Dracula assures him he is safe as long as they think he is a monster, Johnny calls out the prejudice. Frankenstein stomps over, completely confused because he has zero record of having a relative named Johnny. Dracula weaves an insanely complex fake family tree on the spot to convince Frankenstein that Johnny is family. Frankenstein actually falls for the ridiculous lie, getting hyped over his newly discovered violent ancestral bloodline. The Monster Squad welcomes Johnny Stein with open arms, pumped to have a younger party planner around. Frank complains that Dracula wanted ancient zombie classical music to headline the birthday celebration. Johnny steps up to the jam session, ready to inject real modern vibes into the boring monster party. Johnny grabs a guitar and completely speeds up the beat, bringing electric energy to the entire auditorium. He starts freestyling a hilarious high-energy track custom written for Mavis's upcoming milestone birthday. The whole room electrifies as Johnny leads the giant monsters in an absolute rock and roll stadium jam. Frankenstein jumps in excitement, declaring that Johnny is going to make this the greatest event in hotel history. The monsters demand a full dance contest, but Dracula steps in to shut down the fun before control slips. The controlling Count tries pulling everyone back to his boring schedule, but the party spirit is already unhinged. At the hotel buffet, Johnny starts recklessly ordering disgusting monster delicacies just to fit in. Johnny starts telling wild travel stories to the monsters, casually becoming the coolest guy in the room. Drac tries to play it smooth by offering Johnny some scream cheese on a bagel, but the situation is low-key spiraling out of control. Johnny dodges the monster breakfast with the most hilarious excuse ever, leaving Drac frantically trying to pull him aside. Drac reminds him that if these terrifying creatures figure out he is a human, everyone is straight cooked. The plan is simple. Johnny has to pretend he blew out his back in the pool so he can make a sneaky exit without raising red flags. But as soon as Johnny shouts out his fake injury, the monster squad completely misinterprets his signal in the wildest way possible. Instead of letting him leave, the guys instantly initiate a chaotic, high-stakes game of pool chicken fights. Drac is low-key losing his mind as Mavis and Johnny lock eyes and start serving pure main character energy together. Frank jumps into the action with zero chill, diving full force into the water and creating a massive tidal wave. Griffin tries to cover up his own embarrassment after getting dumped, but the real disaster is already unfolding in front of everyone. Water splashes all over Johnny's face, completely washing away his monster makeup and threatening to expose his true identity. Drac immediately drags Johnny out of the pool and corners him, absolutely fuming that the entire hotel could be ruined. When Johnny claims everyone was just having fun, Drac insists that total chaos and uncontrolled splashing is the exact opposite of entertainment. Johnny throws massive shade right back, questioning how an absolute party pooper ended up getting immortality. Reaching his absolute limit, Drac tries to use his terrifying vampire hypnosis to erase the kid's entire memory. But when Drac finishes his hypnotic spell, Johnny is completely unfazed and just blinks back at him normally. It turns out Johnny wears contact lenses, which totally blocked Drac's magic mind wipe ability in the most awkward way possible. Drac gets totally grossed out as Johnny tries to pick at his eye, forcing the Vampire King to switch to brute intimidation. Drac gives him a chilling ultimatum, threatening to drain every last drop of his blood if he ever steps foot near the hotel again. Johnny sneaks into the shadows complaining to himself, only to freeze in utter terror when he thinks Drac caught him. Instead of Drac, it's actually Mavis inviting him up to the roof, leaving Johnny completely torn between staying alive and hanging out with his crush. Up on the roof, the view is absolute chef's kiss, stretching out across the dark European landscape. Mavis mistakes Hawaii for a monster word, so Johnny breaks down how insane human music festivals really are. Mavis asks if humans attacked him with garlic, showing just how deeply brainwashed she was by her dad's scary stories. Johnny shares his free-spirited mindset about exploring the world, giving Mavis a huge reality check on how much she has missed out on. When Johnny realizes Mavis has literally never witnessed a sunrise in her entire life, he sets up a clever workaround to show her. Down in the sauna, the squad is praising Johnny's legendary vibe, totally unaware that Drac is hiding a massive secret from them. Drac tries to low-key shade Johnny, but accidentally offends Frank by insulting people with red curly hair. To cover his tracks, Drac lies straight to his friends' faces, claiming Johnny hated all of them and packed his bags. But when Drac goes to set up the party tables, he catches Johnny sneaking back inside, leaving him completely stressed out. Drac tries to punish him by forcing him to arrange heavy wooden tables, attempting to break the kid's spirit. Johnny tries to stand his ground like a grown adult, but Drac uses magic to shove him straight into a timeout corner. That is when Johnny realizes Drac can telepathically control the giant dining tables like actual magic hovering surfboards. Instead of doing his punishment, Johnny hops onto a flying table and turns the whole hall into an epic magic half-pipe show. Drac tries to outsurf him on another magical table, triggering an insane high-speed aerial battle across the Grand Hall. Meanwhile, Quasimodo and his evil rat Esmeralda are hunting through the hallways, following the scent of real human flesh. Drac orders the floating tables to construct massive walls, trying to trap Johnny before he crashes into the structures. The duo goes zooming through the high arches, completely disrupting the angry portrait frames hanging on the walls. Johnny nails a ridiculously smooth landing, making Drac realize that this human kid actually taught him how to have real fun again. Just as things chill out, Mavis wanders down, leaving Drac panicking about whether she knows Johnny is still in the castle. Mavis tries to act totally nonchalant, but it is super obvious she has major feelings for the goofy human. Suddenly, the suit of armor guards alert Drac that Quasimodo is heading straight for the kitchen with a sinister plot cooked up. Drac desperately tries to shut down Mavis's romantic dreams as he sprints through the castle hallways toward the kitchen. Mavis hits him with a brutal truth bomb about how her mom made the first move, calling out Drac's inner fears. She reminds him that she cannot stay trapped inside this isolated hotel forever, breaking Drac's overprotective heart. Inside the kitchen, Quasimodo has already tackled Johnny and is preparing to turn him into a hideous gourmet dinner. Drac bursts through the doors just in time, realizing he has to prevent a total disaster before anyone spots the truth. Johnny tries to buy time by dramatically saying goodbye to his gear, while Drac steps in to stop the crazy chef. Drac forcefully orders Quasimodo to release Johnny, but the evil chef refuses to back down without proof. Quasimodo demands that Johnny prove his monster heritage by terrifying his hypersensitive pet rat. Johnny tries to pull off the most goofy monster roar imaginable, but it totally backfires. Esmeralda immediately exposes Johnny as a human, prompting Quasimodo to scream the secret to the entire staff. Before the chef can blow the entire operation, Drac uses his power to freeze Quasimodo completely solid in his tracks. Johnny breathes a huge sigh of relief, realizing Drac low-key saved his life from becoming a literal stew. Drac brings Johnny into his private quarters, where Johnny spots a massive portrait that catches him completely off guard. Johnny recites the tragic human legend of Lady Lubov, explaining how two soulmates loved each other until a tragic fire. Drac's entire aura turns heavy and gloomy as he drops a chilling truth bomb on the young human. He reveals that the terrible fire was not an accident, but a vicious mob attack executed by humans who feared monsters. Drac explains that he built this fortress away from the world purely to protect his innocent baby girl from human hatred. Seeing Drac's intense heartbreak, Johnny realizes the deep protective love driving the Count's intense controlling behavior. Johnny tries to reassure him that humans have changed dramatically over the centuries, but Drac remains deeply skeptical. Respecting Drac's tragic past, Johnny promises to leave permanently right after Mavis's big birthday party wraps up. Drac shows genuine respect to Johnny for the very first time, accepting him as a solid dude despite his human flaws. They mess around with vampire hypnosis, sharing a surprisingly warm moment before the massive party gets underway. Meanwhile, Wayne the werewolf is getting completely overwhelmed by his chaotic army of uncontrollable wolf pups. Morning officially arrives at the hotel, and every single monster wakes up hyped for Mavis's long-awaited 118th birthday bash. The main hall erupts into an absolute banger, featuring wild music, epic performances, and incredible monster energy. Mavis is absolutely glowing as she thanks Johnny for transforming her boring party into the event of the century. Even the legendary Frankenstein admits that this epic celebration is the absolute peak of the last 500 years. Up on a floating table, Mavis gets super close to Johnny, admitting her heart is pounding out of her chest. But as they lean in and kiss, Drac spots them from below and instantly explodes with rage. Drac floats right up to them with glowing red eyes, furiously declaring that no kissing is allowed under his roof. Mavis snaps back at her overprotective dad, insisting she is an adult who deserves to make her own choices. She tells him she wants to explore the world again, inspired by Johnny's fearless energy and adventurous spirit. Drac completely panics as Mavis talks about visiting human towns, knowing his big secret is on the verge of collapsing. Pushed past his absolute boiling point, Drac accidentally screams out the truth, exposing that he fake-staged the entire human attack. Just when the party vibes are immaculate, Quasimodo comes crashing in to snitch on Johnny. The entire ballroom freezes in sheer panic as the insane chef points right at the fake monster. Drac tries to play it cool, but the rat literally snatches off Johnny's wig. Mavis looks at Johnny with total heartbreak, asking if he lied to her this entire time. Even after finding out he is human, Mavis confesses that she is still hopelessly in love. Johnny knows Drac will obliterate him or lock Mavis away forever, so he makes the ultimate sacrifice. He looks Mavis dead in the eyes and decides to fake a cruel rejection. Johnny screams that monsters are disgusting, shattering her heart into a million pieces. He storms out into the dark night, leaving Mavis completely destroyed. The hotel guests go into massive hysterics, realizing a human was walking among them. Drac finds Mavis weeping on the roof, begging her dad to wipe her memories away. Drac refuses to wipe her brain, realizing his toxic control went way too far. Mavis is totally heartbroken, convinced that the world will never accept monsters. She pulls out a hidden present left by her late mother Martha, opening a sweet pop-up book. The book explains that when two monster souls collide, they experience a magical connection called a zing. Mavis reveals that she and Johnny zinged the very second they locked eyes. Her mother wrote that a zing only happens once in a lifetime, and Drac just ruined hers. Mavis officially gives up on exploring the world, choosing to stay hidden in the shadows forever. She tells Drac she is just a cold-hearted monster now, smashing his soul to bits. Drac stares at his late wife's portrait, finally realizing that his overprotective lies destroyed his daughter's life. Downstairs, complete chaos erupts as terrified monsters crowd the lobby to check out. Drac steps up in front of everyone, begging his main Wolfpack squad to help him retrieve Johnny. Frankenstein and the squad are furious, reminding Drac that humans are dangerous killers. Drac swallows his pride and admits that everything he taught them about humans was absolute fake news. The squad gets completely confused by Drac's massive plot twist. Murray and Griffin low-key miss the guy, admitting Johnny actually brought the hotel back to life. When Drac reveals that Johnny and Mavis sing, the boys realize they have to fix this immediately. The wolf pack pulls up, ready to ride or die for their ancient king. They pile into the hearse and speed off into the human world on a high-stakes rescue mission. They track Johnny's physical boot prints near the highway, but the trail instantly cuts off. Drac asks Wayne to track Johnny's leftover shirt, but Wayne claims his nose is ruined from diaper duty. Frank mocks Wayne's parenting skills as the clock relentlessly ticks down. Wayne summons his feral alpha daughter Winnie to handle the elite detective work. Winnie sniffs the shirt once and instantly breaks down Johnny's exact travel route like a genius agent. She announces that Johnny is boarding a flight out of Transylvania in less than 15 minutes. She even drops his specific seat assignment and meal choice like an absolute boss. Wayne literally eats an entire herd of sheep blocking the road so they can keep speeding. Drac pushes the car to its absolute limits as the morning sun begins to creep up. They hit the main city square only to find themselves completely jammed in a massive parade. The squad panics, thinking the humans have gathered an angry mob to hunt them. Instead, they realize the humans are literally throwing a huge festival celebrating monsters. A human cosplaying as Dracula hits him with a fake blah blah blah, leaving Drac deeply insulted. With the vehicle traffic deadlocked, Drac knows he has to make a desperate run for it. The gang realizes that human culture actually loves monsters now instead of fearing them. Frank decides it is time to reveal their true iconic identities to part the sea of people. The boys try to unleash a terrifying roar, but they are so out of practice it fails miserably. Frank breathes a massive wave of fire into the air, making the human crowd go absolutely wild. Frank yells to the entire street that the actual Dracula needs to reach the airport right now. He screams that the Vampire King is trying to save his daughter's true soulmate. A superfan monster nerd calls out that Drac will get vaporized if he goes outside in daylight. The human crowd instantly mobilizes to protect the legendary Vampire King. All the human Draculas line up and raise their black capes, creating a continuous shade tunnel across the city. Drac sprints through the human-made shadow tunnel as thousands of fans cheer him on. When the shade runs out at the runway, Drac takes the ultimate risk and flies straight into the burning sun. His bat skin starts smoking and bursting into flames, but he pushes forward through pure will. Drac flies up to Johnny's airplane window as a smoking bat, terrifying the poor passengers. He hypnotizes the pilot and takes over the plane intercom to speak directly to Johnny. Drac delivers a heartbreaking public apology, admitting he was an overprotective father who let his toxic fear win. He tells Johnny that he belongs with Mavis and begs him to give their love a second chance. Johnny hears Drac's genuine confession from his window seat and instantly forgives him. Drac compels the pilot to turn the entire commercial jet around back to Transylvania. Drac drops out of the sky completely scorched, totally battered but triumphant. He returns to the hotel looking extra crispy, holding the ultimate secret surprise for Mavis. Drac tells his daughter that seeing her depressed hurts way worse than seeing her leave. He hands her a giant travel backpack, revealing that Johnny was hiding inside the entire time. Johnny steps out and proudly declares that Mavis is his one and only true zing. Mavis asks why he rejected her earlier, and Johnny admits he was just scared Drac would turn him into dust. Drac officially steps aside and gives them his full blessing to travel the world together. Johnny and Mavis finally share their iconic first kiss as the entire hotel goes crazy with joy. The movie ends with the ultimate monster rave, featuring Drac throwing down a legendary hip-hop rap. And that wraps up the legendary story of Hotel Transylvania. Drac finally learned to trust his daughter, proving that love always breaks through toxic fear. If you absolutely loved this full recap breakdown, crush that like button right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our ultimate movie recaps. Drop a comment down below with what movie you want covered next, and I will see you in the next one.